In early 2013, the online hiking community was met with a storm that would change the community forever. J.B. Gunner entered the scene after years doing radio, YouTube, and other forms of entertainment. His brash and in-your-face style was something the hiking community had never ever seen before. To add to that heat, he was from the hood with an arrogant and flamboyant persona and attitude. Well, despite his online wars with the community, he finally stepped on the trail and slept outside for the first time on December 18, 2014. Arrogant but unexperienced, Teardrop went on to obsess with the AT. After several failed through hikes, he returned in 2017 and hiked close to 600 miles. However, faced with many trolls and haters, the New to the Wild channel and project went down in the summer of 2017. Unfazed, Teardrop has decided to take advantage of this reboot to improve his channel, create new platforms, and give you all a better chance to know him and his drive for the Triple Crown. His desire is to become a legend, and believe it or not, his haters are the ones making it easier and easier. So without further ado, let me introduce to you the notorious, the controversial Teardrop. This is Teardrop, and welcome to New to the Wild. Well, I go by the name of J.B. Gunner. The trail community knows me as Teardrop. I sports gamble for a living. I do a lot of YouTube. I do a lot of radio work. I do a lot of things like that. I'm also in college going for a business degree. I've ran businesses in the past, and it's probably what with my facial tattoos, with all my tattoos, being an entrepreneur is what's best for me, and it's pretty much the way I have to go for the rest of my life. So with all that being said, that's your answer. Well, in terms of YouTube, I've actually had a few channels. I've had a couple channels with, I've actually had quite a lot of channels, but I've had a couple channels with over 120,000 subscribers. It's something that is a passion of mine. It's getting my voice out there, whether it be the political realm, the sports realm, the hiking world, pretty much anything you can think of. Fuck, I got a gaming channel as well. So in terms of that type of work, I'm pretty consistent with it. I put in quite a few hours a day doing this type of work. Before that, I was a podcaster. I started off, believe it or not, in this entire thing, doing a voice blog. It was called All Hell Nah Radio. Well, it was called All Hell Nah in the beginning. And so with this voice blog, what I did is I had a partner. And basically, we would just talk about social issues, but hip-hop music for the most part. That ended up turning into a podcast, and people were calling in, and we ended up with right around 500,000 listeners a week. We ran shows all week long, so it worked out really well. So then what happened is I moved on into the MMA world. I had trained in MMA for 15. Well, now I've stopped the last couple of years, but it had been years. I trained and been involved in MMA, so I felt, since it was a passion of mine, why not get into the industry? And I got into the industry. I had Dana White's mother at my house. Each of these things, I made it kind of big. You know what I mean? During my hip hop radio career, I ended up beefing with Eminem. During my MMA career, I ended up having Dana White's mother in my house. And so then I switched over to politics once I became more politically awoke. And when that happened, it became a passion. I hungered for it constantly. So I studied politics. And still to this day, politics is probably my number one thing that I get into, of course. Get into gaming, get into drinking beer, of course. Who doesn't? It's pretty much the way it goes. But in terms of the YouTube and radio aspect, I created my own media empire. Back I created what was called the MMA Kingdom. It was my first website that I had really ran. And I saw how profitable it could be during that run. And with that, I've always tried to replicate that moving forward, just in different genres. And so right now, after about 10 years into that game, I believe I'm getting better and better and better at scripting my videos, which I typically didn't do before. This right now will be the first time I've ever scripted. I believe I'm getting better at editing my videos, putting together the whole piece of video work. And so not just that, my voice still works well on the radio. I think it still works well. Sports gambling has been a passion of mine, and I've been successful at it for over a decade. Sports gambling is something that a lot of people can't do because gambling to them is an addiction. Gambling to them is an addiction, and it's a problem because they're a failure at it. Me personally, that's not the case with me. I pick at about a 70% ratio, and so with that being the case, sports gambling for me is very, very, very profitable. I've about a decade in the game. I've never had a losing year. I've never had anything. So that shit that most gamblers get, where they lose everything and all this, I don't have that issue. This is something that I'm legitimately a professional sports gambler. And there's other people that try to do that. They can't do that because it's all about trends. I'm a statistics guy, and I know how to follow statistics and trends. It's a passion of mine as well. It started when I was young, studying the statistics on the back of baseball cards. It's just something I always did, and it's the way it went. So it's kind of what my career is essentially. I go to school just for the notoriety, the credibility that it says that, look, I got a degree or blah, blah, blah. But I don't give a fuck about school because to me personally, it's a liberal, progressive teachings that's taught in school. So I don't really give a shit about it. And to be honest, a degree isn't going to do anything. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to make my money from nothing. It's just the way it is. Well, in terms of my past, I was born in Springfield, Illinois, raised as a young child in Chicago, Illinois, on the south side. Was heavily involved with gangs, heavily involved with drugs. Moved to Indianapolis and did a lot of the same shit. And so for the first 20 plus years of my life, I worked jobs, but I was a drug dealer. And then I had a stage, a part of my life where I managed women, should we say. So you know what I'm saying? So with that, I get a lot of shit for that because a lot of people weren't raised the way I was raised, especially within this hiking community. So they say, how could you have done this? Well, motherfucker, the answer is because I was hungry. So if you don't know what that feels like, then you can't tell me that what I did was wrong. What I did, in my opinion now, was wrong. But I would have done it I would do it now if I was starving. You know what I'm saying? And you have to look at what you consider wrong. Do I consider the drug dealing wrong? Absolutely. Do I consider the gangbanging wrong? Absolutely. Do I consider the management of ladies of the evening wrong? Not at all. Not at all, because my take on that is very simple. Why is it illegal to sell something? It's perfectly legal to give away. If a woman wants to sell her snatch, then that's on her. And if she wants a bodyguard or a management company behind her, I'm all for it. And that's just kind of the way it's always went. So yes, when I was young, there was a lot of dumb shit. There was some gang banging. I was raised in the hoods of Chicago. You know what I mean? 55th and Loomis. And then I moved to Indianapolis, and here I am, a big fish from Chicago in Indianapolis, which is a big place, but at the same time, it's not as gritty. It's not as there was things that they weren't used to. So I was able to come into Indianapolis and take the knowledge I had from Chicago and take the fuck over. So where I was a little guy in Chicago, I was a fucking boss in Indianapolis. And so it took a long time. I went to prison 3 times, all 3 times for assault and battery. It just is what it is. And no, they weren't domestic charges. They were assaults on men. I always get that question. Was it domestic? No, it was actually battery on police officers. And I will tell you now, I'm Blue Lives Matter all the way. I have nothing but respect for police officers. So if you're a police officer watching this, rest assured, I've learned my lesson from that shit. And I have no problem with you. In fact, I support you. And I appreciate all the work you do for me. I was young, drunk, and stupid then. So that's not, I don't have the same mind frame as I did then. Now, where some of my urban past still follows me is obviously I've tried to change my accent. I've tried to get that in the white guy voice, and it's working, I think, a little bit. I'm a conservative. I'm more libertarian. I'm probably farther right than most conservatives, but at the same time, I just believe in liberty and your freedom and your ability to do all this. But there's a lot of me. I still listen to hip hop. There's still a lot of me that urban that urban upbringing still is there, and I don't think it'll ever go away, no matter how conservative I get, no matter what. All I can do is try to teach other people and try to make them better, and try to bring other urban people out of that and into things like the wilderness. That's kind of was the premise of New to the Wild when I had it. So that's pretty much the thing. You know, people ask me all the time how I feel about my upbringing. And this is the absolute truth, is that I despise the hood. I despise the left. I despise the people that enabled my mother, my upbringing to be the way it was. And just to give you a little bits and pieces, my mother was a crackhead. She was a whore. My father's in life for 7 consecutive life sentences. He's in prison for 7 consecutive life sentences. So that environment that created this, that created that young me that was drug dealing, I hate it. I despise it. I don't blame it on anyone but my parents, and that's why I don't deal with nobody. I don't have family, because to me, they are the ones that taught me to be the little bad motherfucker I was back in the day. So now it's up to me to pull myself out of that, and I believe it's up to everyone to pull themselves out of that. Your life is what you make it. You can't blame it on anyone else at all. So with that being said, no, I despise the hood. I despise everything it teaches, all the mentality that it has. I despise some of the ignorance that exists there, the making excuses, the expecting other people to hold your hand through life, when as a man, it's my job to lead me through life and to lead other people through life. It's nobody else's responsibility. It's nobody else's job. That's why I'm against welfare. That's why I'm against any type of social help. I believe that as a human, as an adult, as a man, as a woman, it is our job to do this ourselves. So even though I hate the hood, I don't blame the hood for my upbringing. I am who I am, but I do despise every aspect of that shit. Every single time I look at the way I dress or the way that a lot of me is, there's a lot of fucking anger that goes inside of that. But at the same time, it's who I am, so I can't change it. I can't all of a sudden start wearing fucking overalls because I live in fucking Georgia. You know what I'm saying? The truth of this matter is that I'm a Chi-Town dude. I'm a Midwest dude. It's the way I am. It's how I present myself. It's how I dress. And you know what? It is where it is. But I despise the hood. Anyone that's still in that area, I would like, and this is what the New to the Wild scholar sponsorship was about. As each year, I'd like to bring one person out of urban society and onto the trail. And even though they'll probably have to go through the same shit with the internet community that I went through, I still think it's better than Chicago. These people in the hiking community, the internet hiking community, are fucking pussies. The people in Chicago aren't. So if you can survive that shit, who the fuck cares what the internet hiking community says? Well, I say that because, you know, in the streets of Chicago and in Indianapolis, I got 14 stab holes. I got 2 gunshots. You know, the truth of this is that the danger that's there is far superior than the bears, the rattlesnakes, the fucking people on the trail that don't like you. Who gives a shit? Seriously, who gives a shit? Because at the end of the day, in Chicago, I went to sleep every single night hearing gunshots. And they weren't gunshots for good reasons. They were gunshots because motherfuckers were dying. So when I hear someone talk shit or say anything about me, I could give a fuck less. Because I know those people who didn't survive 14 stab holes, a collapsed lung, a punctured spleen. I know them motherfuckers didn't take 2 gunshots, and I know them motherfuckers could never do 5 days in prison, let alone 5 years. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I am who I am, and it is what it is. All you need to know about me is I despise how I was raised. I despise that part of my past, and it's not who I am today. But however, under no circumstances will I ever bow down to these motherfuckers in this internet hiking community or anywhere else that thinks they lived better than me because they were raised better than me and think that I don't belong here. Do you see what I'm saying? Because who the fuck are them? That's my point, is who the fuck are them? Yeah. Period. So I don't need the respect. I don't ask for the respect, and I don't give a fuck if I can get the respect. At the end of the day, the people that respect me, that like me, that followed me on New to the Wild, they're gonna love me, like me, and follow me now. And so the people that do not, I don't fucking care if I can convince them to like me. Who gives a shit? Well, as I've said before, I came out to the trail December 2014. That was my first night ever even sleeping outside in my life. And since then, I've hiked probably about 1,000 miles, maybe a little bit more. What I do know is that in the beginning, it was nerve-wracking to me. You come out here with all kinds of anxieties, and then I had all these people against me, and all I wanted to do was prove them wrong, and prove them wrong, and prove them wrong. And it was a very, very tough situation, and still is. This hiking thing is the hardest thing I've ever done. There's a lot of people that come out here and knock this out the first time, and I'm telling you now, I commend those people. Those people have a lot of mental strength, because it is a mental issue. And I've failed quite a few times, and the truth of this is that I don't know if I'll ever succeed. I do know that I won't stop. I won't quit. I will keep going no matter what stands in my way, and I'll keep going until I finish the mission. A lot of it has to do with what you got going on in your actual life. If your actual life is fucked up, it's going to be hard for you to get through this Appalachian Trail or any trail. And so with all that being said, I feel that I've gained the experience. It got easy for me towards the end, but then again, you got to make sure your home life's taken care of. I've said it before, I'll say it again. So, my experience is small. I just learned about the AT in 2012, just got into the internet community in 2013, got on the trail in 2014. I've been hiking since 2014. I've been a big part of the trail. I think a lot of people by now know me, and most of them have only good things to say, because it's only the internet hiking community that's fake as fuck. You know what I'm saying? The people that I've met on the trail, beautiful people, man. With the exception of fucking Quarter Mile, who I've talked about in several different fucking, you know who the fuck I'm talking about. But with the exception of him, everyone that I've ever met out there was respectful, and it was a good time. I appreciated it, and this is what it is. Finishing the trail means everything to me. Finishing the Triple Crown means everything to me. It's my life goal now. My life will never be the same until I get it done. I have a lot of other goals in my life, and I can't get to them until I get this thing done. The truth, honestly, is that it's overtaken my body, my mind, and my soul, period. It's the truth. This is now, like I said, it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Seeing that Katahdin sign means everything. I was going to flip-flop in 2017 after I left Virginia. And the truth of this is once I left, I said, no, I don't want to see the Katahdin sign until I'm done. And to me, it would have cheapened it. And there's no offense to none of you flip-floppers out there, but to me, I got to have the Katahdin sign as the grand finale, man. I can't do it. I can't flip-flop. And so that's why I essentially, I'm not going back in 2017. I'll be there in 2018. Maybe I'll start at the end of 2017. Maybe, I don't know. And that announcement still hasn't been made. But at the end of the day, I'm finishing at Katahdin. I'm not finishing anywhere else. But to accomplish this means a lot. I turned 37 this month. And maybe it's a midlife crisis thing. Maybe it's not. As a former athlete, I have to have this athletic accomplishment. When I'm seeing children and fucking old people and people with fake ass legs, which I don't count them, but we'll talk about that on another video or something. But when I see these people doing it, I say to myself, fuck, man, how am I not doing it? And it eats at me. It eats at me a lot. But I keep in mind that I was new to this. I learned everything on the fly, and now, finally, I'm gaining all the knowledge needed, I think, to hike this thing.
Bye, bitches.
Hey, thanks for peeping us out. Go ahead and subscribe, hit one of these videos, and make sure you come back for the next one, man. I'm out.